Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host today, Rachel Fiori. Thank you, listeners, for joining in. Always lovely to have you here, tuning in to what we're going to talk about today is that every human is a feeling being. Every human, every single human. It is only feeling that connects you to universal truth. We're going to talk about what that means. Man or woman, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. None of that means anything. There is no such thing as women are the emotional beings. Now, generally speaking, women have a different connection with their emotional selves, with the emotional body. They have a different type of connection. And we probably won't even get into that part of this of this topic today, because that's for a whole nother podcast, honestly, because I could talk for 3 hours about what that actually means. There is a degree of truth that women have. They are more connected in a different kind of divine way with their emotions compared to men. And I'm generalizing right now, generally speaking. So there is a truth to that part. And that is because they need to be connected because they're the creator of life. They need to be connected in a different way. Okay. So there is a biological reason for that, an energetic reason for that, because women are the creators of life. They're the ones that bring life forth on this planet. So they do have a different connection to the emotional body themselves with their own emotional bodies, as well as with others' emotional bodies. Man, woman, child, it doesn't matter. Animals. So women do have a different connection when it comes to that, but that is not the same thing as saying women are more emotional than men. Men are more intellectual. That's brainwashing. So that's because you've been brainwashed to be that way. So I want everyone to listen very carefully, but I really want the men to listen very carefully. I want you to start to question, why has our toxic patriarchal society brainwashed us in this way? And the brainwashing includes brainwashing men to believe that they are so intellectual, they are so in their minds, they're so rational, and all this garbage. The truth is, rationalization comes from the degree of emotional IQ that you have. So if you don't have a high emotional IQ, if you're not connected to your heart, if you don't have a healthy relationship with your emotions, then you are rationalizing based on a level of immaturity, based on a level of being emotionally immature. Your rational brain is based on your emotional immaturity. Oh, toxic patriarchy trapped you there, didn't they? Think about it. So your rational decisions is based on a level of immaturity, which is why you have such a hard time comprehending emotions when society has programmed you to be this way. This isn't a judgment. This is just education. Stay with me on this. This is really critical. And I hope some of you will be able to actually go through some maybe moderate to massive shifting by listening to this. Okay. Especially for, again, it's for everybody, but I mean, I think it's a little bit more so for men in this episode today. So keep listening. I really want you to understand this, that a human being on this planet, you are a divine soul having a human experience. That is every single one of us. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter if you're man, woman. I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care what you call yourself. Every single human on this planet is a divine soul having a human experience. Period. End. Okay. And the rule for being here, so to speak, part of what you need to be while you're here is a feeling being. And the reason for that is so that you can, your soul, your non physical self, so that you can understand from divinity itself, from the universe, from your guides, from your angels, from whatever you want to call those aspects of the non physical, of the universe, or of divinity, whatever you feel comfortable calling them. When you get your intuition, your communication from divinity, from the universe, from your soul, from your higher soul, it comes through as a feeling that doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel safe. That is literally intuition, which is a extrasensory perception. It is a psychic ability that every damn human on this planet has. Okay? There is an intuitive guidance that we are here to follow. That intuitive guidance comes through as a feeling. Something just doesn't feel right. So I should leave. I don't feel safe here. Something doesn't feel loving. Something feels scary or harmful. You have that as a child. You have that as humans, period. Now, here's where we get confused is we have emotions, and we have a lot of emotions that feel negative, that feel bad. We have a lot of unhealed stuff, unhealed traumas. We have unhealed emotions from negative experience, a negative life experience that left a bad taste in our mouth or left unhealed trauma. So we have those energies. Emotions are energies. We are all energy. Everything is energy. Thoughts are energies. Emotions are energies. Okay. So when we feel something, we are feeling energy, literally. We are sensing energy. To some degree, we are translating energies, subtle energies. Okay. Everybody can do that to some degree, period, end. Simply because you are a divine soul having a human experience, everybody can do that. And though that is a degree of psychic ability that actually everyone has. So my gut tells me one thing, my intuition says that is all saying you are feeling what to do, what not to do, because that is literally your divine guidance. Your higher soul doesn't show up in a tangible form and tell you, don't do this, do that. No, there is an intuitive nudge. There is a feeling about something. And that, again, it's universal across the board with every human on this planet while they are incarnated as a human. Okay. So, again, I want to make this clear. Where we tend to get lost and confused is everybody experiences negative things because we're human, and that's part of being human. Everybody has experienced what fear is, or anger, or frustration, or grief, or what it feels to have your feelings hurt when somebody's really cruel or nasty or mean to you or unkind or unloving. People behave that way. Of course, it doesn't feel good. But because we have been brainwashed by a toxic patriarchal society telling us to suppress our feelings, repress our feelings and emotions, not to deal with and to stay intellectual in our minds, be trapped in our minds, because that's what we've learned and everybody has been brainwashed to do that. Then when it comes to feeling things, we can't discern, generally speaking, the traumas, our programs, what gets triggered and activated, our unhealed wounds versus our intuition. So then you'll hear people out there, and sorry, men, but this is the damn truth. Mostly men that you'll hear out there that are really unhealthy and dysfunctional that say you can't trust your feeling. Don't ever follow your heart. That is the most psychotic thing you could ever listen to. Because the truth is, only when you drop into your heart, I'm talking on an energetic level. This is what we teach at Masters of Self University, how to do this on an energetic level. You drop into your heart chakra, heart center. You don't have to call it a chakra. I don't care what the fuck you call it. Drop into the center of your heart. Okay. Energetically learn how to connect there. And when you literally, on an energetic level, actually make the connection to the center of the center of the center of that heart chakra, that is where you connect to your soul, your higher soul. It's an energetic connection. And now that connection is what helps to strengthen your intuition over time because you're now fully connected to your soul. when you're connected. Now, we disconnect very easily because we get scared, we get frustrated, we get angry, we get lost in our wounds and our programs. That automatically disconnects you from your divinity. This is an energetic thing. So if you are energetically connected to your soul, that's what will help grow your ability to see and discern your intuitive feelings, intuitive guidance versus old wounds, negative emotions, programs. Okay. So think about what I just offered to you. When you are a heart-centered feeling being, that is when you are connected to your true divine self, your higher soul, to universal energy because you're an extension of that, to source energy because you are an extension of source consciousness, to oneness consciousness. You are an extension of that, right? You're just here as an extension of those things, whatever you want to call it. You are an extension of that manifested into human form, right? If you understand that, then you directly, on an energetic basis, connect from the center of your human self, which is your heart center, your heart chakra. When you energetically make that connection, now you have a clear channel to your soul. Okay? So think about this. If that happens from the center of your heart, not your physical heart, heart chakra, if that happens from the center of your heart, why do you think our culture, society, the world for centuries have been keeping people, training people to be trapped in their damn minds? Why do you think everything that's digital and everything that's offered for us regarding social media, et cetera, is created in a way that has you addicted to it? Your mind is addicted to it. Your heart isn't, right? So the addictions that we have in staying in our minds, the addictions that we have with our thoughts and our thinking, our mental programs, our minds love to tell stories about everything. Our minds love to create duality. Yes, that's part of the aspect of the ego, but I'm going to keep it simpler right now. Our minds tell stories about everything. Our minds have to understand and justify and rationalize and blah, 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 blah. Why do you think we live in a world that does that, that creates everything so mind-centered? I mean, for the love of Christ, we even call certain things on a spiritual sense mindfulness. I don't use that term because it keeps people trapped in their mind. Now, for those of you like, I'm going to attack you now. You don't know what mindfulness really means if you say that. No, you don't know what it means, actually. Don't attack me. Go deeper. Open your goddamn hearts for the love of Christ. Open your heart and understand. You don't even want to use the word mind for the most part. You want to understand you want to discern and be able to understand the difference between what mental programs are versus emotional programs, so you can heal the stories of the mind. You can heal and get out of your mind. You can heal your wounds that are your emotional wounds, and you can then become and live as a heart-centered being, because a heart-centered being means you are connected on an energetic level to your divine guidance. That means to your higher soul first and foremost. Beyond your higher soul, you are connected to your spiritual self. That's not your soul. That's a higher level of you. That is your spiritual self. Beyond your spiritual self, you are then connected to creator consciousness, oneness consciousness, etc. That stuff doesn't matter right now. But yes, there are different levels that exist in levels of consciousness. And the only way to truly be connected to divinity itself is through your heart, because we came here to be feeling beings. We came here to experience emotions across the whole spectrum of emotions. And it is also the non-physical way to be nudged and guided by our own higher soul while we're here in physical human form. So if you are trapped in your mind, then very often what that means is being trapped up here, running mental programs on autopilot. You cannot simultaneously be directly connected to your soul. That is how we disconnect from our soul self. You want to be the feeling being first. The mind is supposed to be in the back seat. The mind makes a great employee, does not make a good CEO at all. So you want the heart center to be the CEO. The heart center is where you are in balance. You are in balance. Your physical body is balanced. Your energetic bodies are balanced when you are connected and grounded into your heart center. Your masculine and feminine, your divine masculine, your divine feminine are balanced with each other in oneness. Okay. So when you are in balance, you are a heart-centered being. What pulls you out of balance is living in your mind, having all those mental programs run. That pulls you out of balance. Okay. Your mind is supposed to be backup, is supposed to be support. You are supposed to live as a heart-centered being. That's what it means to be a divine being in human form. You are meant to live as a heart-centered being. And then the mind comes online to help you do things like read, balance your checking account, transfer funds. Literally, that left brain stuff is meant to be, you're not supposed to live there. You're supposed to use that part of you, that human part of you, as a support, as a backup to the heart-centered being that you came here to be and experience life through. All right. So feeling connects you to universal truth. What I mean by that is what I've just described. That is your direct energetic connection to your soul. You want to connect to your soul to understand what universal truth is. None of this human perspective crap where you're in your ego and your wounds and your programs saying my truth, all that crap that I teach all the time. Knock it off. You're just in programs, wounding, and you're in your ego. It's not about my perspective is so important. It's about universal truth. How can you get to the absolute truth of anything and all things if you're trapped in programs, wounds, and ego? You can't. If you're trapped in your mind, you can't. When you are connected to your heart center and you learn what it means to feel energetically, there's your very gentle nudge. That is your divine communication. Your intuition is always lightning fast, and it is subtle, and it is gentle, and it is loving, but it is also no bullshit. It's cut and dry. Okay. So because it's truth. Truth doesn't have an emotion, a human emotion. Truth is just truth. Period. End. It's just this is the truth of the situation. Okay. It's like stating fact versus opinion. Truth is just fact. It's not a perspective. It's not an opinion. Okay. It's universal truth. And you only get universal truth by being connected to your soul. Right? When you are, and the first lower level of being connected in that way is to become the way of patience, right? So if we talk about the 20 universal ways of oneness, which if you want to read the 20 universal ways of oneness, you can go grab it on Amazon. Read that book about the 20 universal ways of oneness. These are the enlightened characteristics that lead you to oneness consciousness. So the fifth way of oneness is the way of presence. And when you achieve and become the way of presence, that starts to lead you to being able to decipher and discern the way of truth, to becoming the way of truth. So the way of presence, and there have been wonderful, beautiful master teachers that teach the way of presence on this planet for centuries. But the main person who has taught the way of presence has been Eckhart Tolle. He's amazing at what he teaches when it comes to being in presence. So the way of presence, though, that's the fifth way of oneness. The way of presence, being able to just drop in and be, that leads us to being able to hear and discern and become the way of truth. Okay. And all of this is a feeling ability. It is feeling sensations. Your energetic self, your physical self will feel that you are in presence, for example. You will feel the universal truth in something, for example. So when you are when you become the ways of oneness, when you become the way of connection, when you become the way of unconditional love, when you become the way of responsibility, when you become all of the ways, you are able to feel, for example, that what is missing in this scenario is compassion. And you can only understand, you're feeling the energies of these things. You can only understand that what's really needed right here, right now, for my own wounds or my own pain, for example, is compassion, self-compassion. I need to give myself compassion. Okay. And if I need to give myself compassion, it means I am not vibrating at the frequency, at the resonance of the way of compassion right now. So I need to become energetically the way of compassion. This is just one example. How do I know all this? Because I feel it. You feel what it feels like to be the way of compassion. It's an energetic process that you learn. So if the way of compassion is what's going to heal what is coming up for me right now, maybe I'm moving through some of my trauma that's unhealed, as an example, but I really need the way of compassion right now. That is an energetic feeling. You can feel the sensations of what it means to be the way of compassion. Okay. And then you learn what it means to become the way of compassion. It's not a thought. It's energetically becoming. Becoming the way of compassion is an energetic transformational process. Okay. If what is really needed right now is the way of presence, as I've mentioned, if I am in the way of presence, then I am in the way of truth automatically, because the way of presence is a beingness. It's a beingness. This is where active listening takes place. I'm listening to understand myself and my pain, or because I am the way of presence, I am listening and understanding someone else's pain. I am listening to understand them. I can't offer that to someone else if I haven't learned the skill and I can't do it for myself. How can I listen to understand without getting triggered or offended or defensive, especially in romantic relationships? How defensive do you get? Do you show up as a man baby or as a man woman in your relationship still? It's a lack of presence being able to do that. Okay. Being able, if we lack presence, right, then we're not able to see the truth, because the way of truth is here to show us. When I am the way of truth, for example, that shows me what is actually going on in this scenario. So if you're triggered by your partner and you're getting defensive because they're sharing something with you, I'm really frustrated with you. Boom, I'm triggered. I'm defensive. Well, you're misinterpreting the message that's coming to you 9 times out of 10. I can tell you, you're distorting the message at minimum through your wounding, your programs. What's your program? Defensiveness. Well, then you're also running a program of selfishness, because you're not even able to shift into the truth of the scenario. You're not able to shift into the first way of oneness, the way of responsibility. First of all, the way of responsibility when your partner comes to you is to be able to be a divinely loving partner, right? The way of responsibility is, oh, well, I'm here to hear my partner and what they have to share with me, because my partner is most likely coming to me because they love me enough to want to heal what they're upset about. That's the way of truth right there. How do I become the way of truth? Is I take responsibility for this. It doesn't mean I take their programs, I take blame. That's not what that means. It's the way of responsibility is, it's my responsibility to be here for my partner when he or she wants to heal something in this relationship. Then healing something in this relationship is my responsibility, because I'm in this relationship, right? So that's the way of responsibility. The way of responsibility, when we can be that, it allows us to then become more easily become the way of patience. So I might not, because that's the second way of oneness, I might not be able to fully be in presence yet. I haven't gotten there yet, but I can increase my level of patience with my partner, for example. I can increase my level of patience. When I am the way of responsibility, that allows me to more easily become the way of patience. Okay. The third way of oneness is the way of surrender. The way of surrender means I have zero resistance to what's happening right now, zero resistance to what is, because when I am in flow with what is, that allows me to change what is. If I'm in resistance to what I resist persists in my life. So if I'm in resistance versus the way of surrender, the third way of oneness, if I'm in resistance, then I cannot, because I am not, in flow, which means I can't change what is. Does that make sense? So how can I heal this thing? How can we heal this thing in our relationship right now if I am in resistance to healing the relationship? And you say, I'm not in resistance to healing relationship, except if you're in resistance to what your partner is saying and you're not willing to listen openly to what your partner is sharing with you, then that is 100% the definition of resistance. So you are in resistance. You're a non-surrender. You're not in surrender to what is. You're not in surrender to the fact that your partner is upset. And I want to be in flow with this in order to change the fact that, well, my partner is upset. So how do we heal this between the two of us? If I am in surrender, that third way of oneness, being in surrender allows me to see the truth of this scenario. The fourth way of oneness is the way of truth, right? So if I am the way of truth, I can see that my partner is really upset and, oh my gosh, I see what I did. I showed up as a child, maybe. I showed up as immature. I was unkind, unloving. I didn't mean to be unkind and unloving. I didn't mean to be selfish, but I was. That's the truth. And I can now understand and see the truth in what my partner is sharing with me. And I can also see the truth that I continue to show up as an immature little child in my adult body when I get defensive. And defensiveness is an extraordinarily selfish way of being to my partner. Getting defensive is making it all about me instead of being able to see the truth in what my partner is sharing. If I can see the truth in what my partner is sharing with me, and it's more easily then to see the truth in it all, that it isn't actually personal. It's this is what is unhealed, and this is what's getting triggered and activated in our relationship between the two of us. That truth allows me to then expand even more because I become the way of truth. I now can expand even more and become the way of presence, the next way of oneness. If I am in presence, it means I am actively listening to what my partner is sharing. Do you understand? And it doesn't mean my partner's right. And it doesn't mean my partner's wrong. That shit goes out the window. That's ridiculous nonsense. It means I am listening to understand. And really on a deeper level, that means I am listening to understand my partner's pain. I'm listening to understand my partner's programs or wounds that I may have activated. And I may be hurting my partner because I'm running my own programs and my own wounds. And I'm projecting my programs and my wounds onto my partner. And when I am the way of responsibility, patience, surrender, truth, presence, that is now how we are functioning together in a relationship that allows us to then shift to healing. Now, what do we do when we really want to heal this stuff? Remember, every single thing I've described so far is feeling this on an energetic level. You feel the sensations of these subtle energies. You are feeling every one of these vibrational frequencies that are each of the ways of oneness. All of this is about feeling. You can't do this in your mind. Your mind has no capacity to do any of what I'm describing to you today. It is a feeling. You have to be connected to your heart. The more deeply you evolve into each way of oneness, the more anchored you are as a heart-centered being, as a byproduct automatically. You are not mastering the ways of oneness, the universal ways of oneness, if you're not mastering becoming a heart-centered being. It's that simple. None of this is in your mind. It's not about being trapped in the egoic mind anymore. So if you are all the first 5 ways of oneness, you really want to heal what's happening in your relationship. As I stick with this example, it could be any situation. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but you're then able to evolve enough to become the way of connection. And the way of connection is not to connect to the other person or to your partner. It's not. It's a misunderstanding what connection is. We connect in dysfunctional, unhealthy ways. We connect through our wounding. We connect through our traumas. We trauma bond in a lot of ways. That is not how we want to connect to another human being ever, no matter who you are. It's dysfunctional. It's unhealthy. It keeps us both at lower levels of consciousness. So the way of connection, you want to be able to connect first and foremost to your higher soul. And that comes through your heart-centeredness. That comes through your heart chakra. The center of the center of the center of your heart chakra is where you can connect to your soul. And that's what the way of connection really is all about. if I put it simply. So you can then become the way of connection. Now that I am connected to my soul in this scenario, whatever this scenario is, this conflict with my partner, for example, that leads me to becoming even a more enlightened or more elevated, highly conscious person that allows me to then be able, more capable and more able, I made up a new word, of achieving, becoming the energetic frequency of the way of compassion. The way of compassion leads us to the way of harmlessness and gentleness, to the way of equality, etc., 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 all the way to Universal Way of Oneness number 20, the way of harmony. Okay. I don't need to go through all of the ways. I'm hoping that you're hearing and understanding the ways in which these universal ways of oneness open you, expand you, elevate you higher, 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 so you can become more of what most of us wish other people would treat us as. Think about that. Who doesn't want more, unconditional love? Universal Way of Oneness number 14. You can't achieve unconditional love. Literally cannot. Energetically, at a vibrational frequency, you cannot vibrate at the frequency of unconditional love if you first haven't achieved functioning as the way of truth. There's no such thing as lies and dishonesty being unconditional love. Being manipulative is not unconditional love. So if you haven't achieved number 4, way of oneness, number 4, the way of truth, then no, you are not offering unconditional love, because it is literally energetically impossible. Impossible if you're lying and manipulating. So if you haven't achieved surrender, then you haven't achieved compassion. If you haven't achieved compassion, you haven't achieved harmlessness and gentleness yet. Do you understand? Like, these are energetic vibrational frequencies. This is how we vibrate as a being while we are here. And these vibrational frequencies, this isn't a thought. It's not an opinion. It's not a goddamn belief. It doesn't come from mind. I am too this. No, you're fucking not. You either vibrate energetically at that frequency or you don't. That's science. So you are either vibrating at that or you are not. In any given moment, you are either vibrating at the vibrational frequency of the way of honoring yourself or others, or you're not. Simply put, if you are not vibrating at the frequency of the way of honoring, for example, then what program, wound, what are you running? What is activated? What aspect of your shadow self is activated and flowing through you that is blocking you from, in this moment, vibrating at being the way of humility, the way of loyalty, the way of purity? What is blocking you from that? And that is always going to be a program or an unhealed wound, unhealed trapped energies that are in your energetic bodies or your physical body. Always, right? So you understand, how do you know what's in there? Well, if you can't feel it, you don't know it's really in there so much. And when I say know, I mean an energetic knowing of what is exactly in there, and your blind spots or trapped, unhealed in there. It is about feeling the energies of it, because there lies the truth. Energies don't lie, right? If you are afraid and there's fear in there, you can feel the fear. Energies don't lie. That means fear is flowing through my body right now. Great. That is divine communication to say, oh, look, I'm afraid. Let's alchemize the fear. Look, I'm afraid. Why am I afraid? Do I have an unhealed wound that's always going to trigger and get activated in fear, worry about the future, for example? That means you're running a program. You have an unhealed wound that needs to be alchemized. That's an energetic process. So when you understand all of that, it should be easy to understand that there is no such thing as men not being feeling beings, other than you are wounded and brainwashed, and that part of you has been completely suppressed. It has been trapped. It has been, desecrated and abused, quite honestly. And why do you think in an unhealthy, toxic, patriarchal society that would happen? You're easier to control when you're trapped in your mind and you're fear-based versus being a sensitive, powerful divine being. Sensitive means you feel all the energies in other people. You feel emotions in other people. You feel emotions in animals. That means that automatically makes you a harmlessness and gentleness. It makes you a being of truth. It makes you a being of compassion, right? Think about this. So if you are not those things, what are you instead? Selfish, harmful, offensive, unloving, could go on and on. Narcissistic, cold-hearted. And that means you are also easily fed nonsense in the media. You are also easily fed nonsense from government entities. You are also easily brainwashed. And why? Whoa, take a breath. Here it comes. Why do you think men are the ones that are actually brainwashed a lot more than women? Because you're the big, strong guys. You're the big, strong muscle guys. You're the ones that can act out control, fear, violence. You can dominate with your physical force. Why do you think the disease of emotional fragility is rampant in men compared to women? It is men that carry the disease of emotional fragility. That isn't an insult, men, at all. That's a truth. I want you to wake up as to why. You're more easily controlled that way. You're more easily brainwashed when you are not in touch with your emotions. Your emotions are your divine guidance. So now you get to listen to other people telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, how to be, how to show up. You are easily brainwashed that way. So it isn't that women are more emotional beings. They are more in tune and in touch. They are the masters of emotions, so to speak. But we are also, generally speaking, and no, don't you dare get this confused and start sending some fucking crazy messages out there that I'm somehow saying women are weak compared to men. But generally speaking, physically, there's no comparison. Like, generally speaking, across the board, women physically are weaker, smaller, more fragilely built on a physical level compared to men. Hello, look around. Okay. So we're made that way for a reason because we have a divine power that's the connection to the way that we master emotions and use our intuition. It doesn't mean men don't have that. We all have different varying degrees of divine skills, but don't let your ego run with that and start being like, men are better, women are better. Get that fucking shit out of here. I'm so sick of hearing everybody compare and compete with this crap. It's ridiculous. Really stay in your heart and stay into the divine teaching of this so you don't get lost in all the nonsense that ego wants to take over. Okay. But really think about this. I would even encourage you to listen to this episode again, a second time. Give it a couple weeks, come back, listen again, and see if you pick up more of what was shared here that you didn't get the first time around. And I mean that very sincerely. I mean that because on an energetic level, if you can understand more deeply that, the truth is men do carry the disease of emotional fragility compared to women. They do. That is not an insult, men. That is me helping you understand why you think that is. Look around. Mass shooters, men who are out of control with violence, not women. Generally speaking, across the board, who shoots up schools? Boys, not girls. Who are the serial killers of the world? Men, not women. Generally speaking. And that's because men carry the disease of emotional fragility. Why did they do that? Because it was suppressed and forced upon you. You were abused by toxic patriarchy too. It's not just women who are abused by toxic patriarchy. You are more easily controlled and brainwashed if you are disconnected from your divine soul. How are you disconnected from your divine soul? You are not in touch with your emotions. Period. End. Black and white. That's the simplest way I can put it for you. If you are connected to your emotions and you understand how to interpret them, how to alchemize the painful ones, and how to interpret and read and be guided by emotions, then you are living as a divine being who cannot be brainwashed and cannot be controlled. Hello. Ooh, I hope that really clicked for some of you out there. So if that's the case, why would our systems in place ever want you to truly drop in, connect to your heart, and become the truth of who you are, which are feeling beings? No, they want you to stay trapped in your mind, because mind is where you can be manipulated, lied to, controlled, influenced so easily. The biggest thing that I teach and that we teach in our programs at Masters of Self University is to connect to your soul, to listen first and foremost to your soul guiding you. Not even your guides, not your divine team, not your angel, none of that. Not first. First, let's heal and strengthen the direct connection to you and your soul. So, on an energetic level, you can feel the difference of when your soul is communicating to you versus your crazy mind, versus other influences from any human on this planet, including me, versus people or non physical beings that mean to do you harm or influence you in a negative way. How do you discern the difference between all of that? You learn to energetically connect to your soul, and the way you feel it, you feel it. And by feeling it you are feeling energies. Okay, there's a sensation. You learn how to work with subtle energies. That's the process that's incorporated into our coaching programs here at Masters of Self University, because that's what allows you to be able to trust your own soul guiding you versus any human guiding you. It's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about the work at Masters of Self University and our coaching programs and the healings that we do, because it focuses on self-empowerment, on you connecting to you, the truth of who you are, your divinity, so you can alchemize your wounds, you can alchemize your programs, you can alchemize your shadow self. By doing that, you become more and more and more powerful in your own divine self. So your main guide in life is your soul, not anything or anyone else. Okay. And that's the way it should be as a divine being having a human experience. Right. So learning how to read subtle energies is not an intellectual process. Learning how to feel what is in your energy fields or feel what is trapped in your body, that is a feeling process. Thinking about it, yes, thoughts are energy, so don't get confused, but thinking about how to heal doesn't heal you. That's not what heals you. Energetic transformation or alchemy is what heals. And the more powerful you are at connecting to your heart centeredness, the more powerful you are at actually alchemizing painful emotions, unhealed stuff, stubborn programs and patterns that are still showing up in your life. You can't heal them by talking about it, thinking about it. You heal them on an energetic level by feeling through it, right? So that's the process that you learn at Masters of Self University in our coaching programs. So I hope you understand that when you, let's say, fast forward, push a button, boom, magic, you are completely healed and whole. No more programs, no more wounds, no more traumas, no more nothing. Everything's healed. You are completely healed and whole. And now you are just on a path of continuing to become more and more conscious, more highly elevated, more enlightened. Okay. So we just pushed that magic button for you. You're healed and whole. And now you just continue to elevate more. Right? Because yes, you can be completely 100% healed and whole in this lifetime. You don't have to take the whole rest of this lifetime to become that, to be fully healed. You don't. It is a process. It takes some time, but it doesn't have to take the rest of your life. Okay. Now, if you're 97 years old, it might take the rest of your life. I don't know how much longer you'll be on the planet, but other than that, it shouldn't take the rest of your life. But once you are fully healed and whole, what happens is you're completely cleared out. There's no more shadow self. There's no more active ego functioning in you, period, end. There's not. Okay. And once you've achieved that and healed yourself like that, what your feelings are 100% nothing but divine guidance. And that's the beauty of them. That's the beauty of emotion, is that when somebody is really cruel and mean, you don't get quote unquote triggered anymore. There's nothing to trigger. There's a difference now. What you feel momentarily is the pain of somebody being unloving. That is our divine selves discerning between unloving, aka not oneness consciousness, versus oneness consciousness, something that is harmful versus harmlessness and gentleness. That is the contrast. So we are supposed to feel bad when something is unloving, harmful, unkind, mean, nasty, cruel, violent. We are supposed to feel, quote unquote, bad. You're supposed to feel bad. That is your divine guidance teaching you this isn't right. It's not okay. This is not divine. This is not oneness. How do I know it's not divine? What is happening in this situation? Because of how I feel. Oh, look at this. This isn't divine. This is beautiful, excellent, amazing, highly conscious information coming to me right now. This is not divine. Where do I go from here? What do I do now? What is needed of me right now? Who do I need to become now in this scenario with this person, in this situation? Because I feel in my body, I can feel emotionally, this is not divine what's happening right now. Do I need to set a boundary? Do I need to heal something inside of myself because that really hurt my feelings? Do I need to become the way of patience with somebody right now, or the way of compassion with somebody right now? What do you do then doesn't come from your mind up here. It's not intellectual. It's a clear, pure channel of your internal divine guidance in those moments once you've healed all of your wounds and programs. And when you are fully healed and whole, again, your emotions are what guide you as a feeling being to this moment, this person, this thing is divine or not divine. Until you fully heal all of your shadow self, all your wounds, all your everythings, until you do that, it's a hodgepodge of wounds, feelings, negative emotions, traumas getting activated, and your divine guidance trying to get through to you through all of that mess. Do you understand that? So to deny that you're a feeling being is to deny your divinity. It's not truth. You are a feeling being, no matter whether you consider yourself to be man, woman, or something, doesn't matter, something else. You are a feeling being, period. Because that is your divinity talking to you, talking through you, guiding you in this human life. But again, many people are drowning in the negative emotions that are unhealed, unprocessed, that are trapped inside of you. So you heal those, you then have a clear channel to the feeling being, the divine feelings that come through in order to guide you in your life. So I hope that helps clarify. Every human is a feeling being. Every human. There is no such thing as you being a man and not being a feeling being. There is such thing as you being a man and being completely suppressed. That divine part of you is completely suppressed, locked away, hidden away, because we live in a society that abused you and brainwashed you to do that and told you it was better for you not to be a divine being, to not feel, to push all that down, to be a man, when really what they were doing was stripping your divine masculine away from you, pulling it out of you. They were forcing you and brainwashing you to deny the divine being that you are. So really think about that. I hope nothing but healing for all of you. I hope nothing but elevating in your level of consciousness every day, every week, every year. I hope you're more elevated in your level of consciousness. And don't forget to hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so you can listen to every episode. Share this with everyone you know, please. And don't forget to go to mastersofselfuniversity.com Sign up for a free consultation to learn more about how our coaching programs may be able to help you, connect you, teach you the process to connect to your higher soul, heal all of your wounds and programs and shadow self in the meantime. That is us being of selfless service for you. That's what we're here to do this lifetime. That is our mission at Masters of Self University. So let us help you. We would love to. And whether we help you just by listening to this podcast or you come to us for coaching or healings, no matter what, thank you for listening. Thank you for being on this planet and doing the work on yourself at this point in time. We need you here to keep doing that work and to help elevate this planet and all the humans on it and to help save all of the animals and nature and earth itself. You healing yourself helps elevate that process. So thank you for being a part of that mission in whatever way you are being a part of that mission on this planet in this lifetime. Thank you for being you. All the love from the universe sent to you right now. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.